Nintendo's first home console in the United States came with a light gun and a goofy robot, and one of them won out. I am the Game Collector, and this is Second Opinion Games, and today we're going to look at just a crap load of light gun games for Nintendo systems.
Second Opinion Games.
If you were born in the 80s, chances are your very first light gun game was Duck Hunt. And you don't just have to shoot ducks here, you could shoot clay pigeons, but that's not very interesting at all. No, most people actually play the two-duck game, where two ducks fly around and you have only 3 bullets. If you shoot only one of the ducks, well, your dog lifts up 1. If you shoot 2, the dog lifts up 2. And if you shoot none, he giggles at you. And then you end up wasting at least one of your bullets the next round because you keep trying to shoot that dang dog, which you never can. This is a very adequate light gun game, and it was a perfect choice for all the beginners out there. Hogan's Alley was a better way to test your reflexes because you had to decide on the fly whether the enemies in front of you were good guys or bad guys. If they're bad guys, well, shoot them dead. If they're good guys, well, you're probably going to shoot him dead at least the first couple tries. There is a little trick here. You could hit the pause button really quick, stop and think about it, but that ruins the fact that this is a video game. There's also the alley itself, which then you can just move down and stop and buy a couple guns along the way and continue your blasting rampage of all the bad guys out there. And of course, some trick shooting, blowing up some cans and launching them through, trying to get the best points possible. I think landing your can on this one little platform should actually give you more points than trying to shove it through that little hole, but you know, that's just me. This just shows that Nintendo really knew what they were doing with the light gun itself. Third parties got into the mix with a game like Chiller, which is just a shooting gallery. This was definitely not going to be released here in the States, or at least never officially, because, oh my god, you literally torture people and blow them apart. The music is terrible, and once you've played this game for more than 10 minutes, you've seen everything that it has to offer with very little replayability other than to show off to other people that you have it and see how gruesomely weird this whole game was. Russian Roulette is a homebrew game. This time, you have 2 different gaming options. Either put 1 bullet and spin the chamber, and hopefully you'll survive, or put 3 bullets into a 6-chamber pistol, spin them, and hopefully you will live, but probably not. You're going to get completely blown away. And just like any time you're playing Russian Roulette in real life, eventually you're going to lose. Permanently. Wild Gunman is probably the best light gun game for the original Nintendo. You can have the old light gun gallery shooter where you blow away different cowboys, or maybe even get in a quick draw competition with 1-on-1, but what I like to play is 2-on-1. Sometimes they both say draw and you mow them both down, and you can see which one will draw a little bit faster so you can plan it out a little bit better. Or sometimes only one will say draw, and then you have to have lightning reflexes and the willpower not to shoot the other person on the screen. This gets really challenging, and as the time crunches down lower, you will definitely struggle to get the top score amongst all your friends because this is a perfect party game for everyone to gather around. A little more off the beaten path is Barker Bill's Trick Shooting. I really love this game. Just because, well, for one, there's a really hot babe in it, and she will throw things up in the air, and then you'll shoot them down. There's also some falling things that you could shoot, or some balloons, and that's pretty much everything to see in this game, other than the pretty girl itself doing some other things later on. But why should you pick this one up and play it? Well, how about that rotten dog's here laughing at you still, and you could shoot him in the face! Sure, you lose a little bit of life, but this time you could finally take revenge on that rotten dog for all those times that he laughed at you for missing those ducks. But with new hardware on the horizon with the Super Nintendo, we got the Super Scope. It's a giant bazooka, but is it any better than the Zapper? Well, it doesn't make an annoying noise when you pull the trigger, and when you're playing X-Zone, you get to see some really sweet Mode 7 at play. And you blow everything away, showing you this light gun is very accurate. It just happens to be that this is one very boring game. After about 5 minutes, you're completely tired of it, and you're also tired of holding that darn Super Scope. But there's gotta be a good game worth playing here. How about Battle Clash, where you get to take down some giant mechs, and your guy looks way too much like a Contra character. Also, there's female robots, and how come always female robots try and fire stuff out of their boobs? That doesn't really even make much sense. Why make them look like humanoid at all? And then, of course, you have the extra gimmick of being able to charge your shot to lay the perfect punch down on your robot foes. This whole thing is sort of like a puzzle element, trying to figure out how to take down each one in the best amount of time. It does make the game a little bit more interesting, but does it make it more fun? Well, slightly. Yoshi's Safari, probably the very best known light gun game for the SNES, and that's because it is the best by far. Of course, you see the back of Yoshi's head, but you are Mario on top of him with your freaking Super Scope wasting down everything in the Mushroom Kingdom. Actually, it's like the Jewelry Kingdom because Princess Peach sends you on a mission to get lots of gems for her because, you know, she's really greedy. I guess she'll probably end up with Wario because those two are just peas in a pod. What do you have here? Well, you have branching paths. You have the ability to blow things up really hard. Eventually, your Super Scope can overheat, so you have to let it recharge, but it does recharge quickly. And the main feature here is killing all the Koopa kids. And they each have their own forms. Sometimes they're more action-based, sometimes they're more puzzle-based, but this is a terrific light gun game. It's just a shame that we have to play it on the Super Scope. But you know what? It's better to play it on the Nintendo Wii using the pointer controls, which is how I played all of these Super Nintendo games because I really hate the Super Scope that much. It may have been a really cool concept at the time to have a giant bazooka, but now it's just plain awful. Just stay away from it and emulate it. You'll get a much better gameplay experience. Nintendo 64 time? No, wait, there's nothing for Nintendo 64 or the GameCube because this is a family-friendly company, and Columbine and a whole lot of other things, we have to be totally anti-gun now. At least until the Wii came along, which made it perfect for light gun shooters, and then we have to have a crap ton of them on the console. Most of them look completely terrible and play really bad, just like Chicken Shooter here. There's lots of chickens, and you have to shoot them. The noises don't match up with when I pull the trigger, and sometimes the shots don't either. This is ridiculously bad on how terrible it failed. The only cool thing about it is the animations of the chickens themselves. The music in the background is completely terrible, and you can find this game for less than $5. And quite frankly, even though it's that cheap, I still feel more than a little ripped off. Link's crossbow training almost everyone bought right away because it had a zapper for you to sit your Wiimote in, and because it was Zelda themed and people were just going Zelda crazy back then. Some people thought it would be a more fleshed out experience, but what we got is more of a shooting gallery. However, there are some more advanced levels here, and the point system is quite cool because it relies heavily on accuracy more than how fast you can just pull the trigger. Of course, shooting the most targets in the quickest amount of time is always best, but if you miss just one, then it will dramatically lower how many points you get because of the multiplier that's involved here. This is a very robust game and quite a good time to play, unless you have a giant picture window shining natural light in because the Wii really sucked like that, because then it just doesn't know how to put your radical on the screen, and it makes the game look like it's being played by Michael J. Fox, for God's sakes. And you can still shoot chickens in this, even if they are a heck of a lot uglier. Fast Draw Showdown was a WiiWare game that feels more like Wild Gunman than Wild Gunman did, because it's another quick draw thing, only this time you actually have to point the Wiimote down and then raise it up when it says draw and shoot your target. There are a ton of different people to mow down, and they all are unique in their own little tiny ways. Like sometimes you have to shoot them twice, sometimes they'll be at a distance, or maybe two of them will be on screen at the same time, and doing that whole Wild Gunman trick where only one of them might pull a trigger on you, or maybe you have to shoot them both. And why do I think it's even more like Wild Gunman? Because the original game that came out in 1974 in the arcades was full motion video, and we didn't get that on the Nintendo. No, we got an 8-bit version of that. So this is basically just Wild Gunman again. And when I mean again, I mean like reloaded, so to speak. But Sega jumped in, making their own light gun games for the Wii, and that's where we got Ghost Squad. Now I could talk about all of those House of the Dead games, but Ghost Squad is the most unique experience for this system. There are lots of different missions. You could pull out a sniper rifle or maybe even disarm bombs, crawl through a field and disarm other types of bombs, and this is a totally over-the-top arcade experience right there in your home. As a matter of fact, if you told me this was a full-fledged arcade game, I would definitely believe it, because I think it kind of is. This is so much fun, and is definitely the hidden gem of the Wii's lineup. It just got overshadowed by all those House of the Dead zombie-killing games. Wii U time! Well, there's really not that much to go with, because the Wii U didn't get a heck of a lot of support. What it did get was Nintendo Land, and chances are everyone that has a Wii U has this game because it was just to showcase what the Wii U could do. And you know what it could do? Well, you could use the tablet as a light gun. This definitely doesn't feel like a light gun, and it doesn't entirely work. You have to tilt the Wii U down to reload your arrows and then blast away at all the enemies. It's much better to play with a friend, but of course that friend doesn't have a Wii U tablet, so he has to be a swordsman hacking everyone down to size. But at least then it's playable, and you don't have a whole lot of options here on the Wii U. Clubbella's Dangerous Hunts 2013 is your other option for a light gun game, using the Wiimote and Zapper, or maybe just a nunchuck and Wiimote, pointing at the screen and doing either a shooting gallery, where you have to remember what animals you need to kill, and then start killing a whole lot more other animals, or just set paths, making it a beautiful on-rail shooter where you mow down lots of animals, because that's what this entire game is about, killing as many animals as possible, and I don't feel bad about it either. This is dumb fun at its finest here, and the fact that they just sort of disintegrate and go away actually takes away a little bit from the experience. I would love to have like extra blood mode and just watch them splatter into pieces, maybe just watch their heart just fall right out. And there's even branching paths here. You could take the safe path, or you could take the hardcore animal killing path, where then lions and tigers and giant bears, oh my, come after you. This is an insanely fun game, and is a must-have for all those Wii U owners. Time to switch things up with the Nintendo Switch. And of course, it's not really a light gun. Instead, they're using the gyros in the controller itself, but that doesn't mean it doesn't have its light gun shooter games. Of course, we could talk about the butchered House of the Dead, but instead, I'd rather talk about Sniper Hunter Scope. This is a really fun game, emphasizing headshots above everything else. And then time slows down just a little bit, letting you shoot a lot more people in the head. As you play through the game, you earn money, earn more weapons, earn more equipment, and then add in more sniping people in the head. There's also some missions here that are sort of run and gun style, and every time you lose, you still feel like you're gaining progress because you gain more money and experience points to unlock more levels in the game. This is a terrific game that can be had for as cheap as $2 freaking, so it's a no-brainer to pick it up. Completely changing the mood in the room, it's Galgun 2, where this time you shoot girls in the boobs more than the face, because it seems to do a lot more damage? Well, I don't think so, because these girls don't feel like they're getting hurt. Matter of fact, they feel like they're really happy, and they just keep on attacking you. Or something weird and kinky like that. Yes, this is one of those pervy games, and the first game was originally designed to come out on the Wii, but it never did. It eventually showed up on the Xbox 360 and the PS3, and we got Galgun 2 on the Switch just because of the overall success that the Switch had, which means there is a ton of generic shooters on this console, but none of them are probably really worth playing other than that Sniper Scope one. I really hope to see a lot more great shooters for the Switch in the future. But other than that, I'll have to go back to the pastime of making pretty women very happy with me. You know what? It's what I do best. So if you love Nintendo systems and you love a good light gun game, well then chances are the Wii is for you. But for everyone else, just pick up a good old NES, because Wild Gunman is always a good time. And that's why it is my favorite light gun game to play for any Nintendo console ever. But of course, that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching.
Real nice shooting.
Next stage unlocked.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I had a great time making it because light gun games are so freaking cool. And I was going to talk about Baby Boomer on the NES because there's a baby and you shoot it dead. But maybe you should check out my top 10 dead babies in video games if you're really interested in that. So leave me a comment in the comment box down below and make sure you hit that subscribe button because I really want to hit 10,000 subs by the end of the year. So until later, I will see you again, guys.